So here's a real quick demo of what I'm working on with changing out a few inserts to get some that are on here that have got better decals, or at least the facing on it is better. And what I'm dealing with, as you can see, I'm showing on this mousing around game, right here in the middle, there are 6 inserts that spell the word cheese, and several of them have, the artwork is partially gone, or like in this case, it's just totally gone. And one of the ways that I could do this is pop out the inserts, sand them down real good, and put some new decals on them. But I actually have some brand new inserts that are perfect for this, so it makes the job a little bit easier. But I just want to give you a little demonstration of how I'm going about this. So here's where I'm started, and you can see that I've already popped out this one insert right here. Basically, I have to kind of heat up the whole insert just with a hot, with a heat gun, just with hot air. And it softens up all the adhesive that's around the perimeter of the insert. And then you take a hammer and a punch, and you just gradually just push it out, and they pop out actually really not too bad. So getting underneath the playfield and under the insert, really, you take anything that is underneath it. So if it's a light socket, or in this case a little board with a with the bulb, just get it out of the way and get your heat gun, which this is the one that I have. Just a basic gun. I think I got it at Harbor Freight at some point. I don't know, maybe Lowe's. But you want to heat it up. So you kind of heat the area. You don't want to burn stuff you don't want to burn. This area looks kind of dark, like it's been burnt up before. But just trying to warm up the plastic, warm up the whole area in general. On the low speed. There's a high speed. Just go with the low. It's good enough. Take a hammer and punch your socket. And it's starting to move. There we go. Now it's out. I think it's hanging on just by some of the adhesive. Oh yeah. And now it's out. There we go. Oh, this broke apart. This one was done. So here is a brand new insert. And here's one of them that I had punched out that needs to be replaced. In this situation, I've got the brand new ones, and they're super cheap. I mean, it's like 50 cents each. It's not worth trying to salvage an old one by sanding it down and getting it prepared to go put a new decal on. Now, if I was dealing with an insert where I just couldn't get, that's going to have to be what I'll have to do. But in the case for this game, I'm not replacing all the inserts. I'm only replacing just a few that were really worn down. But anyways, this is what I'm starting with. And so I've got this whole sheet. You can tell I've already done a few of them. But you just cut out the ones that you need, and they do peel off. Now there's extra, black that's all around the edge that once you get it onto the new insert and get it centered correctly, I'm having to go back and just trim the edges and get it ready to go put it back down into the playfield. But I'll show you what's involved next with actually getting the decal actually onto the insert. Okay, so we've got the insert, I've got the decal, I've got actually just this glass casserole dish that I'm using with some water, and there's just this tiny little drop of soap that's in here, just some dish soap. It's just try to break the surface tension of everything that's in here. So anyways, what I will do, I'm going to go ahead and just drop the insert down in the water, and I'm going to take this decal, I'm going to get the edge of it. Here we go. Peeled off. Put the stem in the water and see if we can get this. So the trick is that when you're putting this on, you're trying to get it as centered as you can. And once you stick it on there, you really don't want to lift it up because it will mess things up. And it is really tough to do. But if you rotate it upside down, you can kind of see right about where you're centering things. The water just seems to help just position everything. And even though it's a you know, there's adhesive on this decal, that water's not really a problem. It allows you to be a little more forgiving. Okay, so I feel like I've got it centered by just looking at it all, and it's just barely tacked on to the insert. So I'm gonna go ahead and bond it down. So I'm just applying pressure, making sure they don't have any air bubbles just by starting in the middle and just working it out. And this process seems to work pretty well. I've only done a few of these, so by no means an expert. Anyhow, this is coming along, and there we go. So, all right. So now that that decal is on there, what I'm gonna have to do from here is actually trim the edges off. So you see how it's, you know, I don't know if you can see the camera. It's all hanging off the edges, but it's okay. I can take a really sharp X-Acto knife, just trim it right to the edges, trying not to dig into the plastic. That's probably the hardest part. That along with just making a nice clean looking cut against the decal. But once that's done, it's ready to move back to the playfield. With a sharp blade, you want to try to get in and just start trimming the decal right up against the edge. This blade is probably going to need to be replaced here soon. It's not quite as sharp as I had wanted it to be. Get up there. Yeah. Get to listen to my furnace fire up on us. But anyways, just move right along. Try to make, if you can, one good straight cut. It just seems to make a nicer edge for it. If you got to come back, it's all right. There's just smaller slivers to have to go trim off. Makes it a little hard. You just don't want to end up with a ragged looking edge because it just looks awful. Like that. That's not going to look good. See, look at that. That's terrible. So we're going to try to true it up. That's better. Still got a little work to do. I'm losing some of the black on this edge. I didn't get it that well centered as I had hoped. But once it goes into the playfield, there is some black on the playfield. And you know, you did the best you can to try to get it centered. And between coming back in with an acrylic, don't want to use a Sharpie, that's a problem, but use an acrylic black pen. You can get it at an art store or like a hobby store, or just look online. But just, you know, the key word is acrylic. You get that, and it won't have issues as far as like if you're using you know, certain cleaners or other chemicals. The Sharpie just doesn't cooperate well with that. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, that's fair. It's not great. You can see at the top, I wish I had it centered a little bit better, so we lost a lot of black. but once it goes on, it's not going to be near as bad. So one thing I wanted to mention before you ever go putting the insert back into the hole, whether it's a brand new one or even the one that you took out, probably the hardest part that I have run into is when you take the old insert out, there is adhesive that is still in here, and it is tough to get out. Now, when you heat it up, it does soften up and it will release a lot better. Using the heat gun, I mean, it works to get the insert out, but to really get it good and hot in here to try to scrape it out, you risk causing damage to the playfield. So one little trick that I have found to do is I've actually got this butane torch that I've used for flame polishing on the plastics, and with the screwdriver I will actually, get this thing, get this going, and I'll get this in nice and hot. It's just a small flat blade common screwdriver, and when I get that nice and hot without burning my hand, I will run it along the inside edges of this and scrape out any of the adhesive. I'm making it look real easy right now, and believe me, it's not. I've already cleared most of this hole out, but this is the technique that I did, is that if I heat this up, it does help with releasing it and just getting it to scrape out. So you got to do that first. Just like with any paint job or anything else, the prep, it's all about the prep. You're going to want to spend 80-90% of your time really just getting things ready so that the end result just looks great. To get the insert in and hold it in place, you're going to use some kind of an adhesive. I've heard of people using super glue, wood glue, Elmer's glue. And honestly, I don't know what the best glue is really to use. Super glue kind of bothers me a little bit because if I want to get it back out, I don't know how well that it would release if I heat it up. Elmer's glue, it's just not really made well to bond to plastic. Wood glue, not so much either. But I've got this acrylic, Gorilla Glue that seems to be doing okay for this job. And so I'm basically just taking a toothpick. You could use a paintbrush, I guess, but toothpicks are cheap and disposable. And all I'm trying to do is just get a little bit around the perimeter of this. In the first insert that I didn't put that much glue in, or at least I didn't get it consistently around. And when I first pressed it down, you could see that where the glue was actually touching, making contact to the plastic inside it, it was, there was something about it, just it didn't look quite uniform all the way around. It was minor detail, but these little things that you notice, they kind of start to bug you. And that one was bugging me. So anyhow, here I am trying to run some of this glue all the way around the edges so that there's not any dry spots. I guess that's what I was trying to say. I don't want any dry spots. The other thing is I'm trying not to get it up real high on the side walls either. What you don't want to do is have this squeezing out on the upper surface onto the playfield. It's a mess. And some of it may run down underneath the playfield, and that's not really much of a big deal. But okay, so I've got that ready. And this glue, it actually calls for wetting the surface. One side it says, hey, put some glue on it, and the other side, put a little bit of water. So, all right, that's what I'm doing. So I'm actually taking just a little bit of water, running it around through this edge here. And, all right, as far as orientation is concerned, Unlike another insert where I actually had to clock it into position, this one's, it's only going to go in one way. So let's get it just kind of lined up. Get a block of wood. The reason I'm using this is I only want to push it down as far as the playfield itself. Looking pretty good so far. In an ideal case, you don't want it to have any edges. You want it to be smooth as glass. It's going to be tough to do, smooth as glass, but you can get it pretty good. And this is getting back to that whole comment I was making earlier about trying to prepare for it and getting the adhesive out. You want it to where when you drop it in, you don't have anything that's obstructing it so that it goes down. So that actually has turned out pretty well, I think. You know, I was showing you about that black border and, you know, kind of the lack of it. If I've got this acrylic pen, this is just when I ordered it online, but you can kind of come back here and fill in the edges. I actually did prep the edges, just a little bit of the wood before I put this in, so there's really not much in terms of spots that didn't have paint, but there you go. So just let it dry and you're done. Another thought about clear coating it all. I had thought about actually clear coating these inserts, or after putting the decal on, just throwing a coat of clear coat on. And I did a test on something else, and it was, oh my goodness, it was orange peeling really bad. I just said, I'm going to kind of roll the dice on this one. These decals are pretty robust, so we'll see how it goes. This is going to a home use game, so it's not like it's going to get a ton of play like in an arcade, so I think these will probably hold up. And if they don't, you know, worst case, I could try again, but this is what we're doing, and just thought I'd share. Hope you guys enjoy.